MovieStarPlanet. Where do we even begin with this video? The very epitome of 2010s internet culture for kids, tweens, and teens, MovieStarPlanet is an online virtual world with a reputation for being a shallow, popular kids simulator rife with scammers, hackers, e-dating, and drama. Players that became popular in the game would gain huge followings of loyal fans who would obsess over their every move, keep tabs on their personal lives and relationships, and circulate wild rumors about them on a daily basis. So pretty accurate to real life celebrities, I'll give them that. While other games around this time were for the most part kept pretty clean, wholesome, and appropriate for kids, MovieStarPlanet very quickly became known as the seedy underbelly of the kids' virtual world space. 16 plus, messy mix of suggestive chats, glitz, and consumerism, serious privacy and content issues with celebrity fantasy site. Thank you, Common Sense Media, very cool. Despite its less than stellar reputation, the game still holds a lot of nostalgia, especially for those who played it religiously during the early years. The game was a staple for tons of kids back in the 2010s and even now, so let's take a look at one of the most infamous online virtual worlds for kids out there, MovieStarPlanet. Before we get into things, I'd just like to give a huge thank you to Casetify for sponsoring this video. I've been working with Casetify for a while now and I always love working with them. Casetify make amazing phone cases that both look cool and will actually protect your phone. Casetify has hundreds of awesome designs to fit every mood and style. Checkers, neon, glitter cases, memes, super cool prints, the options are truly endless. I have tons of Casetify cases by this point and I love all of them. They're all so cool and I love the designs that they have. There's such a wide variety that there really is something for everyone. But if that wasn't enough, you can fully customize your very own Casetify cases. You can choose from a huge range of styles and colors and even add your name or monogram to the back. For example, my neon green Bingus case, truly my pride and joy. Not only do Casetify's cases look amazing with tons of customization options, but they have an antimicrobial coating that kills 99% of bacteria and they're really tough. Casetify cases are engineered with a 2-layer construction of Chi-Tech and a drop test to prove for drops of up to 6.6 feet with their impact cases and 9.8 feet for their ultra impact cases. Now it's time for the moment you've all been waiting for, the moment where I throw my phone against my wardrobe to test how strong Casetify cases are. Gotta use my throwing arm. I ripped one of the posters on my wall. My wardrobe has a poster on it and the impact of the phone ripped the poster. And though my poster is no longer intact, my phone is. There are no scratches, no damages whatsoever to the screen or the back. Because Casetify cases are very tough. One of the reasons I love Casetify so much is that they're all about sustainability. Their impact and ultra impact cases are made of 65% recycled and plant-based materials, so you'll be protecting your phone and the environment. Whether you want to get yourself a little treat or want to get a gift for a friend or family member, because Casetify cases make great gifts, Casetify is there for you. Head to casetify.com/Izzy today to save 15% off. Once again, that's casetify.com/Izzy to save 15% off your order. The link will be in the description. A huge thank you to Casetify, definitely go check them out, and now let's get back into a deep dive of MovieStarPlanet. MovieStarPlanet, often abbreviated as MSP, began development back in 2007 as an educational game. That may seem kind of crazy considering these days it's mainly known as the vapid teen fashion game about getting boyfriends, but its roots were actually pretty academic. The now founder and CEO of MovieStarPlanet, LuKrembo Jensen, wanted to develop a learning software to help Danish children learn English through making short cartoons which they would write, direct, and voice. From one of the earliest archives of the website, quote, "MovieStarPlanet is a free social website where children and youngsters work together with their friends to create small animated cartoons. The lines of the cartoons are written and recorded in English, and the children thereby practice their spoken and written English skills. MovieStarPlanet is a blend of Facebook and YouTube with a learning dimension added. It was developed with financial support from the Danish Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation and in cooperation with the Danish University of Education." And from very early screenshots we can see that it had pretty humble beginnings, far from the hip teen fashion dating game that it came to be. The game released in Denmark in 2009 and was apparently popular with English teachers as a classroom teaching tool. At this stage, the primary focus of the game was creating and scripting movies, with fashion items and in-game currency playing a fairly minor role. Now, a recurring theme that you're going to see in this video is information being weirdly scarce. It takes a lot of digging to find anything, and most of the information that I did find was either unsubstantiated from dubious sources or just secondhand memories or accounts from old players. According to the crappy games wiki, I told you the sources are dubious, the website site was run by Cartoon Network from 2011 to 2014, whereupon the original Danish company that created the game MovieStarPlanet APS took the reins. This is backed up by the MovieStarPlanet wiki and a few screenshots of the old website with the Cartoon Network logo on it, but there's virtually no other information on this, and old archives of the site still list MovieStarPlanet APS as the owners, so it could have been a situation where Cartoon Network hosted the site or helped MovieStarPlanet APS port the game over to the American market, but again, it's hard to know, it could just be a rumor. That's another recurring theme you're gonna see, just players straight up lying and making shit up for fun. Either way, the game was released in English in the UK in 2010 and the USA in 2011, going on to launch in 16 countries around the world. By 2012, MovieStarPlanet had over 30 million players, and by 2013 the number had grown to over 100 million. MSP got so big during the 2010s that it began releasing a monthly teen magazine in multiple countries, including Poland, France, Germany, and the UK, which as of 2021 has released over 100 issues and as far as I can tell is still going strong to this day. Similarly, during the height of its popularity, the game launched several TV advertising campaigns in the UK and the Nordics featuring both animated characters and real-life actors. Kinda weird, kinda uncanny, but apparently it was actually crazy successful. According to a case study by Amazon, who did server hosting for the game, one ad campaign was so successful that the servers couldn't even handle the huge influx of new players. Obviously, as all heavily monetized virtual worlds for kids tend to do, MovieStarPlanet made a ton of merch. Shirts, gym bags, towels, magazines, makeup, art cases, and weirdly wall murals, though to be fair they never seemed to get huge in-store releases of clothing, accessories, or plushies like other big games around that time, and from their Facebook post, the merchandise seemed fairly well received. According to MovieStarPlanet APS, the game now has over 250 million registered players, but the game is clearly long past its glory days. But I'm very much getting ahead of myself. With the context that MSP used to be a wholesome, educational learning game for children, let's take a look at what it actually became. MovieStarPlanet is kind of a hybrid virtual world, half social network and half doll dress-up game like the mutant child of Club Penguin and Star Doll. Upon starting up the game, you're greeted by an NPC guide called Pixie Star who introduces you to the world of MovieStarPlanet and guides you through a quick tutorial. The game's map is segmented into 5 different areas: games, movie town, pets, shopping, and chat. One of the most controversial aspects of MSP is the chat feature. In the chat area, you can choose from several different areas and maps that you can walk around, emote in, and of course chat with other people in. The literal first time that I logged in like 10 years to record footage for this video, I got called cringe and witnessed a huge fight go down in the cafe. Never change, MovieStarPlanet, never change. MSP became pretty infamous for bullying and inappropriate behavior, as well as rampant e-dating. When arguments aren't breaking out about who's the ugliest in the room, players are following each other around begging to go out or sending DMs to everyone in the room asking for a GF/BF. Most of what goes down in the chat is pretty explicit flirting, dating roleplay, or non-stop begging for a date. Now, it's worth acknowledging that this kind of thing is going to happen in every kid's virtual world, it's pretty much inevitable, but with MSP it was especially prevalent and it was especially risque. There are censors in the game, but it's pretty easy for players to get around them, so you'll often see some pretty disturbing stuff, especially on the forums. Oh yeah, we should probably touch on the forums. MSP has its own dedicated forum area where VIPs and players level 6 and up can create and reply to threads. There are several different categories such as friends and fun, movies, games, and help, but to be honest they're all pretty much used the same. To post random nonsensical spam posts, guess how old the user above you is, or guess my favorite color, thread games, or just plain old hate speech. While obviously there are plenty of completely harmless and innocent threads, there's a shocking amount of offensive content and straight up bigotry on the forums. Homophobia, transphobia, racism, you name it, and there's probably a thread for it for some reason. Now a lot of it is clearly just done for shock value or to be inflammatory, but even in casual threads you can weirdly see a lot of toxic shit. You may be wondering how all of this stuff even manages to make it onto the forum, being that this is a kids game, but we'll get to the moderation later, we'll put a pin in it. By the admission of its own hardcore fanbase of veteran players, MSP has one of the most toxic communities and forum environments out there, to the point that it's genuinely surprising that the game is COPPA certified. Compared to the old days on MSP when the forums were mainly just misspelt drama posts and creepypasta hacker stories, it seems a lot more nasty and gross and just mean-spirited these days. That could just be my nostalgia nostalgia goggles talking though. I'm very curious to hear from any veteran players that might be watching. Do you feel that the forum has changed in a positive or a negative way? Also, I don't know why you use the term nostalgia goggles as if that's a real term that exists. Anyway, a lot of this bullying culture is fueled by the intense monetization that pushes kids to spend real money to become socially acceptable and popular. The intense paywalling to bullying quote-unquote poor players pipeline is real with this game. I know catty high school drama mean girl cliques are an overdone stereotype, but this game was filled with them. Groups of rich, air quotes, players would form their own exclusive clubs just to exclude newbies and non-VIP members, and popular girls ganging up on players with unrare outfits was common. We've talked about this kind of rich versus poor, members versus non-members bullying in other games and how effective it is at making kids spend money on games, but MSP was literally like high school bullying and peer pressure simulator 5000. The dress up element is one of the biggest draws on MovieStarPlanet. Most virtual worlds of this era gave players the tools to dress up and accessorize their characters, but MSP was far more in depth with its customization and far more hip with the times. All of the clothing, accessories, and hairstyles were inspired by real-world celebrity outfits and popular trends among teens. Layered scarves, ironed scene hair and sideswept bangs, Ugg boots, tiger print, snapbacks, nerd glasses, printed crop tops with shorts, galaxy jeggings, and that one Lady Gaga hair bow that everyone was obsessed with. Okay, listen, I swear these were super hip and cool and cutting edge at the time, but to be fair, the time was like 2012, which was 10 years ago. Okay, let's all take a moment to acknowledge the existential horror of 2012 being 10 years ago. Okay, now that it's sunk in, let's move on. Anyway, not many other virtual worlds around this time had such a huge focus on fashion, and even fewer actually keyed into popular teen trends in such a cutting edge and relevant way. Logging in 2022, I was honestly surprised by how relevant the fashion still is, even today. Despite the waning popularity of the game, the shop is updated frequently with really up-to-date fashion. It's all very TikTok. There's an entire collection of cybergoth fairy items, a frog-themed one that's all cottagecore, dark academia, Coachella cowboy type stuff, and tons of split hair and streaked bangs. Like I said, all very TikTok, which is honestly pretty brilliant. TikTok is where a lot of trends are forming these days, so going directly to the source for inspiration for the game's outfits is pretty smart. I was genuinely impressed by it all. Not only was it actually pretty accurate to how a lot of kids dress these days, but the items were actually pretty cute. They looked good and you can mix and match them in cool ways. Honestly, good job to the design team. But all of these fashion trends come at a cost. The paywall. See, to buy clothing and accessories in MSP, you need money. There are two in-game currencies, star coins, which you can earn by playing games and completing quests, and diamonds, which you can only earn or buy if you're a VIP. VIP is basically just the membership of MSP, and it has a weirdly convoluted system. For some reason, there are 3 levels of VIP, regular VIP, premium VIP, and star VIP, all with varying bonuses. Regular VIP doesn't really give you any perks worth having, and to actually get any good VIP bonuses, you have to shell out for premium or star. Premium and star honestly aren't even that much more expensive, so I'm assuming they're operating off that whole decoy effect thing. You know, you add a second decoy option in between the least expensive and the most expensive to make the most expensive option more appealing. I learned that on the hit show Brain Games. Another weird choice is the diamonds. Most games give you the option to buy premium currency regardless of whether you're a member or not, but on MSP you have to be a paying VIP to even be able to buy diamonds. Considering the sheer number of members only diamond items in the shop, it's all very paywall-y. The game really wants you to spend money. Same with the pets. There's a section of the map where you can buy and play with pets, which in the game are called boonies and look like weird little balls of fluff. There's also a selection of more normal looking pets called bonsters, and well, actually normal probably isn't the right word. You have dead-eyed turtle demon that looks like a Dark Souls enemy, weasel that looks like it's seen the exact date and time of your death, and this absolute abomination. So hideous. Such a wide and varied range of eldritch horrors, it's hard to choose who to take home. Boonies were introduced in 2012, intended to be both pets and marketable mascots for the game. By 2014 they had their own virtual world called Boonie Planet, which was more of a pet care / collection simulator, though it still had virtual world elements like games and a chat system. The game shut down in May of 2020 after rapidly lowering player numbers, so when you look it up now, the first search result on Google hilariously reads Boonie Planet, we're sorry. Without context, it just sounds like they're apologizing for existing. Again, Again, boonies are another pretty good example of the paywalling and monetization in MSP. Not only did they make an entire in-app purchase riddled spin-off with them, but even in MSP itself, no matter how much you want to buy that creepy snake monster or the boonie that looks like a human brain, you can't unless you're a rich VIP. If you want to take a break from spending money on clothing or spending money on pets or spending money decorating your house, which is a thing you can also do by the way, there's a wide selection of engaging and entertaining games to play. And by that I mean there are exactly 4 games to play. There's Dress Up, which is a simple game where you're given a prompt and a selection of randomized clothing each round to make a style with the aim of being voted the best. Crazy Cards, which is basically like a super simplified version of Cards Against Humanity. You get given a simple prompt and you have to pick a card that fits the prompt from your deck. The best card is chosen by that round's judge and so forth until someone wins the game. Quiz is what it says on the tin, you gotta pick the right answer to a question. Not much to say here other than this game is totally broken. The answers get cut off, text goes under buttons, it's just a formatting mess. Catwalk is basically just Dress Up, but you get to use clothes from your own wardrobe rather than randomized ones. For some reason this game can only be played by players over level 6, I have no idea why. So all of MovieStarPlanet's features are basically streamlined to always lead back to the item shop. The chat areas and forums are filled with players who bully and pressure those who aren't as popular, and the selection of games is so small and so poorly made that there's only so much you can play before getting bored and going, well, back to the shop I guess. This pressure, which is both artificially created by the game and created by other players enforcing a social status, constantly leads kids back to real world currency and membership purchases. Most of the mechanics of MSP revolve around social status and buying things. We've talked about it a lot on this channel before, how a lot of kids' virtual worlds are basically designed to maximize monetization opportunities, but MSP is a particularly egregious example. Honestly, in my opinion, quite a lot more egregious than other games that we've covered on this channel like Club Penguin and Animal Jam. Those games had kids that would bully you for looking poor, but the player base of MSP is absolutely savage. But there is one silver lining, one feature that saved MSP from mediocrity, the feature that started it all: movie making. Many may discredit MovieStarPlanet as a simple kids game built with the sole purpose of parting parents with their hard-earned money, but I know better. MovieStarPlanet has actually spawned many a cinematic masterpiece. As we discussed in the beginning of this video, MovieStarPlanet was originally created as a teaching tool to help kids learn English by making cartoons and movies. Originally, players could actually record their voice to add to the movies, but as the game got more popular, you can probably understand why that feature was removed. As we all know, voice chat in kids games is generally a terrible idea. And though I think it's fair to say that MSP has strayed from its academic roots over time, the movie making feature still remains as a staple on the site. For those not into the film scene, the movie studio basically allows you to put together rudimentary short videos and movies by dragging and dropping your character around the screen. The studio works using frames. You can make your character stand in one spot on frame 1, move to another area on frame 2, have dialogue on frame 3, etc. You can use speech bubbles to give your character dialogue, use emotes to make your character perform different animations, and change the expression of your character. You can also change the backgrounds and add props and items, add music, and create multiple different shots. If you have other players in your friends list, you can add them as characters too, which is kind of weird since you can just use their likeness in any way you want, but I'm sure it's fine and there's no way that could be abused. In the modern day, MSP movies aren't particularly high effort. Most that you'll find on the front page are short movies, also called SMs, which are usually just completely random clips between 10 and 20 seconds long. Most of the time when you click on a movie, it'll just be a few seconds of players silently walking around the screen or dancing, and that's because making movies earns you money. If lots of players view your movies and rate them highly, you get star coins as a reward, so players will put out tons of low effort SMs in an attempt to just rack up a bunch of star coins. For example, Think Pink, just a bunch of players walking around a room, or Supporting Friends, just a bunch of players walking around a room and saying supporting friends. Perfect. Very nice. So sweet of you. The bar is low. I did find this one short movie called I Met Lana Del Rey, which was kind of a cinematic masterpiece. Yes, it's me, Lana, stream NFR, lives in my head rent-free. Though to be fair, I Met Lana Del Rey is the exception to the rule that most movies on the front page these days are pretty boring, low-effort productions made solely to hoard star coins. You do get the occasional good movie though. Lots of players are into making drama series that span multiple episodes, usually with themes of high school drama and teen romance, and always with a shocking twist. These drama series are actually pretty impressive considering how clunky and glitchy MSP's movie maker actually is. It's clear that these players are investing a ton of time and effort into making them. The movie feature is a little bit meh these days. Very few videos ever get over 100 views, and when I logged on I couldn't find any recent movies that broke the 1000 view mark. Back in the day though, MovieStarPlanet movies were crazy popular, especially on YouTube. You know all those little anime gacha life roleplay videos and series? Well, MovieStarPlanet was like the 2010s version of that. MSP walked so gacha life could run. Some of my all-time favorite MSP videos are AMVs, or animated music videos. There are hundreds if not thousands of old 2012 MSP music videos to Nightcore renditions of Kesha and Christina Perri and Cher Lloyd and just a bunch of emo songs. And then you have my personal favorite, a dramatic MovieStarPlanet AMV of a 2013 Hunger Games parody song by Joey Graceffa and Luke Kennard. You genuinely can't make this up. I love the MSP music videos so much because they have the best Windows Movie Maker early YouTube editing ever. So many terrible transitions, and the rainbow filter effect really gets a workout. It's just mwah, chef's kiss, beautiful. MSP music videos often also serve as lyric videos, so you get to bear witness to some glorious 2010s font and color choices. These videos always make me laugh. They're such perfect time capsules for the period they were made in. These are the exact kinds of videos that we were all making as 13-year-olds back during this era, from the Nightcore pop songs to the poor spelling. It's just perfect. AMVs were by far the most popular genre since kids could go hog wild with the filters and effects and pick all the emo songs that they wanted, and they were just the most easily accessible and popular. But there were also more serious drama series and movies back then as well. The MSP YouTube community were big on sad, heartbreaking, tragic story videos that were also weirdly dark. During this era, a lot of kids were becoming aware of issues such as online bullying and mental health, and in response they created tons of very well-meaning but in retrospect kind of tone-deaf stories shedding light on the issues. It's how you get videos like Sad Bullying and Story MSP, which opens with the lines, "Look babe, I've been sick of ya lately, so we're through, thumbs up emoji." This movie actually breaks the stereotypical, oh, the boyfriend breaks up with her and then the girlfriend is mean to her and everyone bullies her formula by having the protagonist almost immediately kill both the boyfriend and his new girlfriend. Then when she tells her mum that she just killed 2 people, she does the awooga eyes popping out thing. I said get out, there's no way I'm living with a murder. Forgive me God, I was just jealous. R.I.P. Sapphire. Part 2. Sapphire comes back to life, coming soon. Oh, come on, they spoiled the big part 2 twist. Sapphire comes back to life. You also have Sad Story MSP from 2012, created by Goth Nicole, January 5th, 2010. I can't wait until mum gets home. I'm home. Yay, mum, you're home. Picks up phone. Yeah? Oh, hi Rick. Awesome. Alright, I'll tell my family. Hey guys, my boss just told me I have to go to New York City for a month. Dad, that's terrible. I won't see you for a month. Honey, I will always be with you. How? Your heart. Smiley face. Sweetie, your father won't be gone long, just a month. I love how the dad is giving his kids the I'll always be with you in your heart speech when he's just going on a simple trip to NYC. That's how you know some shit's gonna go down on that trip. Bye dad, bye Lily. Kelly, let's go upstairs. Cut to the dad in NYC in a random field, I guess. You will be fighting me, and you will die. Top 10 death scenes that made you cry in movies? By the way, you'll just have to imagine Don't You Remember by Adele playing over this entire movie. I can't play it because of copyright, but that is genuinely the soundtrack to this video. Did you hear your husband died in the battle? I can remember every memory. And then there's a lovely little montage of the family memories. I really love these old sad story videos, obviously made by kids, because you can kind of tell that they like grasp the elements that make a sad story, but they can't quite figure out how to put it together. Like, they obviously realize that having the dad die would be a sad and shocking twist. That twist has happened in lots of movies that they've probably seen before, but the way that they get to that is the dad gets called to NYC for a business trip, and then I presume his boss engages him in a battle and he dies? As if that's a completely normal thing that would happen. Like, where does this dad work? You get what I mean though. They figure out what the twist should be, but the way that they get there is like the most bonkers thing ever. It's great. There are also real life stories of heartbreaking tragedy, like MSP Sad Story from 2014. We were together for about 2 months and every day he would say a little peom for me. Roses are red, violets are blue. I love you babe, and you are so cute. And the next day, roses are red, Violets are blue, babe, you're so sweet and I love you too. And every day he would do that, but one day when I came offline, one of my friends said that he hanging out with another girl at his house, but I thought that friend was joking. I saw your BF with another girl at his house. Stop joking. But she wasn't joking. I'm not joking. Really? But when I logged back on, I saw this. Roses are red, violets are blue. I love my new GF and she loves me too. How long have you been dating? 3 weeks or so. And that is my sad story. I like how the boyfriend seemingly only knows of one poem format, the classic roses are red, violets are blue. Is that really the only way he knows how to write a poem? He's just gotta fit all of his thoughts into 2 lines and they have to rhyme with blue? Anyway, clearly just some really poignant stuff. Though it's fun to goof on these videos, I do genuinely love them. They're such great relics of the 2010s internet. I feel like the era of the terrible Windows Movie Maker AMV or hilariously overdramatic sad story made using a kid's browser game is long gone. I love looking back at these things because they're so nostalgic. They remind me of what the net was like when I grew up and all the hilarious and embarrassing stuff we made back then. And speaking of the 2010s, the MovieStarPlanet of today is a lot different than it was back in the 2010s when it was at its peak. Those years were often considered the golden years, and many veteran players look back at the quote-unquote old MSP with fondness, so much so that there are multiple private servers run by players that emulate the old MSP with all of the old clothing, games, and even the old layout and map. These truly were the glory days, so let's take a look back at what the community was like as well as some classic MSP drama. For this section I thought we'd talk about the classic MSP experience, the old memories, the 2012 MSP nostalgia so to speak. As with any online world for kids, you're gonna get role players. E-dating and girlfriend-boyfriend roleplays were extremely common on MSP to a concerning degree, and the lengths that players would go to get a virtual partner were intense to say the least. People would come into chat rooms and pretend to be celebrities like, hey guys, it's me, Justin Bieber, or it's me, Taylor Swift, this is my real official account. It was so common that catfishing as celebrities became a whole genre of its own on MSP YouTube, and players would make guides on how to make your character look like certain celebrities. All of the virtual dating inevitably led to drama though. Breakups were ridiculously common, with players often cycling through BFs and GFs on a daily basis and making sad emo status updates all the while. Players would make frequent forum posts, YouTube videos, and even aesthetic edits about their MovieStarPlanet heartbreaks, and this kind of stuff was super common due to how prevalent online dating was on the site. It's pretty common to see profiles listing relationship status, whether that be single, taken, or every tween in the throes of a dramatic online relationship's favorite status. It's complicated. Honestly, it's pretty weird how widely accepted this is in the game. MovieStarPlanet is aimed at kids and tweens and is copper certified, so why it's been able to basically turn into a dating site is beyond me. This isn't even touching on the problem of predators on the site. The normalization and even encouragement of dating other players has opened the doors to tons of creeps and predators wishing to do harm. Almost every kids game is going to have this problem, but the difference there is that most games crack down pretty heavily on dating related words and any inappropriate behavior that might crop up, whereas MSP doesn't really make much effort to censor dating related words or shut down any risque/inappropriate conversations that occur. Still, MSP relationships yielded some truly amazing edits. Yeah, people would genuinely make #deep, #relatable, #aesthetic edits of their MovieStarPlanet characters. There are tons on Pinterest for some reason. You have your together forever, ride or die, us against the world couple edits. You have your couple edits, but they're uncomfortably risque and it makes you wonder why in God's name did someone edit this. You have your aesthetic BFFs 5 ever edits, and then you have the edits that are just airbrushed to hell and have the saturation turned up to like 100. A lot of them are weirdly high quality, like a lot of the editing in these things is really well done, and you know what, if kids want to develop their editing skills making emo MovieStarPlanet couple edits, I say let them go wild. But MovieStarPlanet had a dark side, a sinister side, an evil side that was hidden away. Back in the day, if you were active on the site, the one thing that you feared more than anything in this world was being hacked. Anonymous, or Anon, was allegedly a powerful hacker who was active on multiple different servers around the globe and would infiltrate accounts to leave creepy messages or even delete them entirely. Anonymous just looked like a regular player but with no top and a pink fedora because, you know, 2012, and they became pretty infamous after supposedly hacking several high-scoring and popular accounts. Anonymous was huge on MSP. YouTube videos about them would get tens of thousands of views, and the forums were filled with scared players freaking out about being hacked. You seriously had to be there. Anonymous basically became an urban legend within the community. There was even a rumor that Anonymous hacked into MSP in 2015 and deleted 25% of all accounts. I highly doubt that MovieStarPlanet APS would be so cool with such a huge data breach and loss in players, considering that's their livelihood, so it's definitely fake, but it's a great example of just how mythologized Anonymous became within the MSP community. According to rumors, Anonymous was heavily linked to another super spooky hacker called The Cult. They were either boyfriend and girlfriend or the same person depending on who you asked, and they definitely shared a lot of the same characteristics. The Cult was known for hacking on multiple servers, leaving creepy messages and deleting accounts, though she looked a lot more menacing with a gothic outfit and a creepy bandaged face. After The Cult got popular, a lot of other wannabe fake hackers started doing the same thing, like giving themselves unique creepy outfits and accessories to make themselves more recognizable as creepypasta urban legend figures. There were comments literally everywhere about how scared players were of The Cult and how terrified they were to even log in out of fear of being hacked, but to be honest, The Cult wasn't that threatening. She kind of ruined the mystique by making a YouTube channel and multiple social medias where she'd do like roasts and post videos like giving people makeovers on MSP and If Mums Played MSP, and the highly anticipated sequel If Hoes Played MSP. That's like if Jeff the Killer started posting like try not to cry challenges and prank videos. Another super scary creepypasta hacker was called The Dolly, and she was all dressed up to look like a creepy stitched up doll. Apparently there was no evidence to indicate that she was even a hacker at all. I guess at this point all you had to do was dress kinda weird and put a hashtag spooky status like the toys have come out to play and you'd basically be famous. She was friends with another player called The Clown, and looking at all these creepypasta hacker characters made me realize how creepy some of the outfits and animations in MovieStarPlanet actually were. Like, look at this thing. While the game emphasized celebrity fashion and cute wardrobes, there were tons of weird and creepy items. Gouged out eyes, giant red smiles, bloody scars and wounds, bandages, creepy masks, freaky bodies and limbs. There's also a whole host of weird and vaguely inappropriate animations that have now been deleted from the game, though thankfully they've been archived. Bleeding out on the floor, literally exploding in a pile of body parts, multiple animations involving guns, one called Drinking Slob, several involving axes, and one with the player's head being chopped off. Being a game aimed at and primarily used by kids and young tweens, you wonder why MovieStarPlanet skewed so dark with a lot of their content. It's honestly really random. It definitely opened the floodgates for all of those creepypasta hacker characters to come out of the woodworks, and the hysteria spread even further because of copycats. It was super common to see tons of players dressed up as Anonymous and the Dolly running around stalking people and sending creepy DMs just to cause mayhem. While most famous, or rather infamous players were hackers, there were a few players that were well known for less nefarious reasons. We've talked about how popularity-based MSP was, but we can actually pinpoint a few select users that racked up enough e-clout to become widely known. Pumpkin was one of the most popular MovieStarPlanet players in the entire game and was the top user on the US scoreboards for over 5 consecutive years. Being a high-scoring player basically guaranteed you tons of popularity, and these popular users on the scoreboard were creatively called high scorers. If you were a high scorer, you basically had virtual celebrity status and everyone wanted to be your friend. You'd get swarmed in the chat rooms, and there were tons of Weebly news blogs and blogger sites that would report on rumors and drama surrounding you. Basically MSP's version of tabloids. It was very in line with the whole Hollywood star theme the game had going on. Anyway, Pumpkin was super big. She had over 5 million views on her profile, she had over 13k followers on Twitter and 59k on her YouTube, which was pretty unprecedented. MSP celebrities didn't really accrue popularity outside of the game, so she was a pretty big deal. Because of the nature of MSP back in the day, you know, the player base was mainly tweens who were very susceptible to drama and jealousy. Pumpkin had both a lot of intense mega fans and intense haters. There were many blogs dedicated to hating on and trash talking her and calling her a popular mean girl, and there were tons of comments on the wiki and various blogs hating on Pump. Her nickname was Pump, by the way. There were tons of crazy rumors about Pump as well, like her dad was the creator of MovieStarPlanet, she was super rich in real life, she was secretly the anonymous hacker, she had a second account that she used to bully people, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. They're definitely the kind of wacky rumors that kids believe. You know, you see a popular player on a game and you think, okay, totally makes sense that their dad owns the site or they're secretly evil. But Pumpkin also had a lot of supporters, and that's where clubs come into the equation. On MovieStarPlanet, players can create and join clubs, basically just little groups that they can post and promote their own work in. VIP/cool club only, the Illuminati, which surprisingly has a very wholesome bio, trio. The Elites, Team SpongeBob, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, Actress Club, Hot People Only, multiple One Direction and BTS groups, and to my delight, the Big Time Rush Club. Pumpkin had one of the most popular clubs back in the day, Team Pump, which seems to be up today and has over 50,000 members. Members of Team Pump were called Porters, and they were essentially Pumpkin's loyal army of stans. They would vehemently defend her against all of the drama and accusations that were thrown her way, especially when the Pump Planet drama went down. Basically, one day Pumpkin made a post about wanting to make a remake of MovieStarPlanet called Pump Planet. Depending on who you asked, her fans either then created a private server called Pump Planet, which got shut down, or they just started making edits and enthusiastically posting about the idea. I tend to believe the latter, since most members of Team Pump were like 13 and maybe didn't have the dedication or the know-how to make an entire server, but I don't know, you never know, I could be wrong. Either way, this angered a ton of players of MSP. She'd officially gone too far and gotten power hungry. She was trying to overthrow MovieStarPlanet and they had to stop her. You know, all very classic melodramatic online teen drama. There were several other popular users, including Joanna Petty, Isha Cool, and My Bo, just to name a few, each garnering huge followings and celebrity status on the site. It's pretty interesting that for a game meant to emulate the Hollywood movie star aesthetic, the community formed its own sort of hierarchy of popular users and celebrities. It was very interesting and very fitting to the theme. A lot of what made popular users into popular users was what they wore, and the most sought after items were rares. Like many other virtual worlds at the time, MovieStarPlanet relied on a rarity system with its items in order to keep players, especially collectors, hooked and always searching for that next rare item. MSP had an art book feature where you can pose your character and make images, and while some use it in fairly creative ways, most art books that you'll see are just players making lists of rare items that they want to buy or trade for. Now, the existence of rares within the game opened up a whole Pandora's box of lying, cheating, scamming, and hacking, which MSP became pretty infamous for, but we'll get to that later, don't worry, we'll put a pin in it and we will come back to it. While we are on the topic of outfits and items though, I kind of got sucked into a rabbit hole looking at all the old posts from the MSP Facebook page. I made a tweet about MSP and user @ShareSalathalite posted this incredible screenshot of an Equestria Girls knockoff line, and I immediately went to their old Facebook to find more. There are so many great old lines here. What Time Is It was a pretty blatant Adventure Time parody. They released a shirt when Zayn left One Direction and captioned it, "OMG Zayn?" There was a set called Fairy Tale Fever, which I swear was referencing Rise of the Brave Tangled Dragons, and of course there was a wonderfully 2014 Hunger Games ripoff set called The Rebellion. Also, obviously multiple Twilight sets from various Team Edward and Team Jacob shirts, some of which just had straight up PNGs of the characters' faces on them, to a Twilight wedding set, to another Twilight set called Undying Love. Seems familiar. Is it because Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 2 came out? I don't know about you, but I hate Twilight. Vampires aren't supposed to sparkle. They're supposed to have enormous fangs with blood dripping from them. Yeah, that would be the type of movie I'd like to see. Guys, I'm starting to think that this girl might not be like other girls. One last thing I want to mention before we wrap up, just because it's classic MSP lore, is the Pixie Star thing. So basically in the early days there was this NPC character in the game called Samantha. She featured in the games and could be used as an extra in the movies. However, in 2015 a new NPC character called Pixie Star was added to the game to be the sort of poster child / mascot, as well as a guide for new players, and she had a male counterpart called Zack Sky. Their introduction divided the player base. On one hand you can find tons of posts excited about the new characters, and the old Facebook page has some really cute pictures of all the fan mail that the staff received, and they would take all the fan art and like display it in their headquarters and like offices. It was very wholesome. On the other hand, Pixie Star weirdly garnered this huge hatedom, partly due to the fact that she had replaced Samantha, and by replaced I mean that Samantha was no longer in the game and Pixie Star had her profile. This huge conspiracy / urban legend started that Pixie Star was Samantha, with tons of YouTube videos showing evidence. For example, in old movies featuring Samantha as an extra, the credits would list Pixie Star as the actor but would visually appear as Samantha. Even more damning, going into Pixie's inventory would show that she had all of Samantha's clothes in her account. Everyone accused Pixie of being a hacker who stole Samantha's account because A, kids don't understand that the staff just deleted the Samantha character and used her account to set up Pixie rather than creating a whole new account, and B, they pretty much accused everyone they didn't like of being a hacker. Going on any old MSP blog or website or YouTube video, you'll find tons of Pixie Star hate comments comments, like kids genuinely fucking hated this character. I call her Pixie Toilets. Pixie is a creep, such a creep. I know, and she hacked me, and I trust her. I know, right? She is so narcissistic. She hacked me, then I logged off, then said hacked by Pixie Star, you're next, and I think it said no one's safe in the devil face. She's not Pixie Star. Pixie Star killed Samantha and took her place and her clothes. Reminder, Pixie Star was literally an NPC. I'm assuming that the staff would occasionally use her account to do like staff things, but generally she was an NPC. She wasn't a person, but people were like cussing her out, sending her death threats, wishing hate upon her. It was a whole thing. I think the Pixie Star hate is kind of a reflection of how the players were feeling. 2014 was one of the last big years, at least in terms of player numbers, and there were also a lot of big changes going on, and generally player bases don't like big changes. I think Pixie Star came at just the right time to be the personification of all these issues that players had with the game, you know, the failing numbers, all these big new changes. They felt like the game was becoming something different, something new, it was being changed, and they didn't like that, and Pixie Star was just a very convenient scapegoat to take all their anger out on. It was strange, it was bonkers, it was classic MSP. When are we as a society going to realize that Pixie Star was a victim of cancel culture? But the game wasn't always sunshine and rainbows and Twilight clothing sets and 2010s nostalgia. It had some pretty serious security issues that have been widely criticized. So MovieStarPlanet is pretty infamous for being absolutely plagued with scammers and hackers. Like, it's one of the main things that it's known for, which isn't a great thing to be known for. As we've talked about, MSP is all about clout and popularity, and the best way to get those isn't to earn them or work hard for them, it's to steal them. Scamming was actually super easy on MSP. All scammers had to do was say that they could give you free diamonds and VIP in exchange for account information, and a lot of the time that would work. Scamming kids who are desperate for an online membership to a game is like shooting fish in a barrel. I remember being a kid and I would have done literally anything for a new mount on free realms, including but not limited to giving people my account info. Another common tactic was for scammers to dress up like moderators and ask players for their account info, or even dress up like hackers and threaten players for it. There were also the classic free premium currency / membership sites, the ones that you'd have to download and put all your account info in to get free stuff, but then would just end up giving your computer a Trojan virus. All of the scamming got so bad that MovieStarPlanet had to put out an online safety instruction video on their YouTube channel to discourage all the dastardly little criminals, and it was sure something. Accusations of hacking are absolutely everywhere in the MSP community, but actually in 99% of cases the player was scammed and not hacked. They likely gave their account info to a friend who stole all their stuff or used a dodgy free VIP website. Genuine hacking was less common but not unheard of. MovieStarPlanet is pretty infamous for its poor security. The game is buggy at the best of times, with extreme lag, broken interfaces in games, weird visual glitches, and bugs that interfere with gameplay. It's super easy to accidentally break the game by pressing the wrong button or pressing too many things at once, and even then you'll likely still encounter weird visuals and error messages. MSP is also ridiculously laggy, like 1 frame per second laggy at points, and crashes do occur. It's funny how a lot of people's rigs can handle like Elden Ring at 60 FPS perfect settings running smooth as butter, but then they can't run MovieStarPlanet. The actual security infrastructure of MSP seems to be pretty shoddy as well, with players able to reliably find exploits and hacks. I was able to find tons of YouTube videos listing all the latest exploits and bugs in the game, like literally channels were posting by the month updates for new exploits that they discovered in the game. There are a few super well-known hacking tools, including the D-Source item glitcher and the cheat engine, which allows players to glitch rare items into their accounts, give themselves free star coins and diamonds, give themselves moderator privileges, change their username and profile images, max out their levels, and so on. It's possible to go onto the game and find hacked accounts with suspiciously high levels, weird glitched items, custom profile pictures, and broken profiles, but these are all players that have purposely hacked themselves. Actually hacking into another player's account is far less common. Probably the most common way to do this is just by using a program that can find old account usernames from when the game first launched and then trying to guess the passwords for them. Since they're super old accounts made by kids, the passwords are usually pretty simple, so they are sometimes guessable, and that's how hackers get in. It's basically the same problem that Neopets had, a lot of old abandoned accounts being hacked through password cracking and then mined for rares. So while hacking and breaking MovieStarPlanet is unsettlingly common, I mean, you don't like to think that the company that you're giving all your personal info to is so susceptible to game-breaking glitches and hacks, the random and and malicious hacking into other people's accounts is far less common than it's made out to be. Again, I have to reiterate that a lot of the players that have been hacked have actually just been scammed. But it definitely did happen. Like I said, the site security is infamously poor, so I totally believe that there are players that have access to the backdoor of the site and can access other players' accounts. A lot of kids' virtual worlds have problems with hacking, you know, there are always devious little scoundrels trying to break the rules, but MSP was truly on another level. It's a super buggy game that's very easily exploited, and honestly I think some people are sticking around just to keep up with all the weird new bugs and glitches that pop up on a monthly basis. We've already touched on it in this video, so I won't go too in depth, but it is worth going over again the poor moderation of MSP. On the corporate site, MovieStarPlanet APS claims that they have 5 pillars of safety: advanced filtering, live moderation, self-control systems, parental engagement, and external cooperation with law enforcement. And I'm sure that on paper they tick all the boxes to be kid safe and copper certified, but in reality the moderation and filters in the game are extremely lax. Swear words and slurs are blocked, but players can very easily find ways around this by using codes or censoring certain parts of the word. Forum posts containing swear words, inappropriate content, and edgy offensive bait are left up, while random innocent words can result in suspensions or bans. Despite how heavily the game claims to be moderated, it's definitely one of the loosest games that I've played, and if it was bad back in the 2010s, it seems totally unregulated these days. I know this makes me sound like an old biddy, and I'm not trying to say that MSP is bad or should be shut down. I think it's totally normal for kids to try and break the rules and say naughty words, but the influx of older players flooding the game with genuinely disturbing posts is concerning. Kids are gonna be kids, and virtual worlds are always gonna be chaotic and drama filled, but it's worth acknowledging when a game has a genuine problem with security and moderation, especially where children are concerned. To wrap up, let's take a look at where MovieStarPlanet is today and how it's kind of fallen off in recent years. According to Google Trends, MovieStarPlanet hit peak popularity around 2012 to 2014. It began gradually dropping in popularity until around 2019, where it bottomed out. After the death of Flash Player in 2021, which killed most kids' browser games, MovieStarPlanet became a download-only game, so now you have to actually install it onto your PC to be able to play it. When I downloaded the game to record footage for this video, I accidentally logged into the New Zealand servers at first, and when I tell you that the game was dead, I mean it was dead with a capital D. The forums were barely used, and there was literally no one else in the game. The US servers, on the other hand, were pretty full. There was plenty of players in the chat area, playing games and posting on the forum. But even then, it's hardly at the same level that it used to be, and the forum seemed largely abandoned by the mods, filled with spam posts, offensive and shocking bait posts that haven't been taken down yet, and does anyone still play MSP in 2022 posts. The game is updated pretty regularly with new clothing sets, and the fashion is super trendy and up to date, which is a weird contrast to how abandoned the game feels these days. I think a combination of the death of Flash Player, kids' virtual worlds just kind of fading out of relevancy in recent years, and MSP just being a very 2010s product have contributed to the game's death. I feel like a lot of the players these days are irony-poisoned TikTok and Twitter users coming back to the game in an ironic, quirky nostalgia kind of way. They're basically just here to dress up in cool clothes, shitpost, and dunk on random players, which to be fair is how MSP has always been used. It now just has a 2022 coat of paint. Interestingly, a lot of MSP users are migrating to Everskies, which is another virtual dress-up game and social media site, because they feel that the site is more mature in comparison to MovieStarPlanet. Funnily enough, some Everskies users are instead switching over to MSP because they feel like their own community is too toxic, but that's a story for another day. The point is that MSP's player base has been thoroughly thinned out. Some grew out of it, some felt that the quality had gone downhill, others left because of hackers and scammers, and the rest are just gradually dispersing over time. The game isn't dead or like a ghost town or anything like that. Like I said, I was pretty surprised by how many people were playing when I logged in, but it's definitely past its prime. It's definitely not hitting those 2012-2014 peak numbers anymore. We've already discussed the MSP spin-off game Booney Planet, which was eventually shut down, but in 2014 MovieStarPlanet APS launched another spin-off game called Robo Blast Planet, basically riding off the big Roblox/Minecraft wave that was occurring at the time. It had block-based graphics and focused mainly around crafting and building robots, and I have a feeling this was the company's attempt at breaking into the boys gaming market, since MSP had an overwhelmingly female demographic. It's such a funny example of gendered marketing, like girls like shopping and pink and boys like Minecraft and robots. It's so stereotypical it's almost comical. Over time, Robo Blast Planet became more and more like Minecraft, with the emphasis on building robots fading over time and the visual style becoming more akin to those weird Minecraft animation channels on YouTube. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but basically the game is like a personification of kids who watch Minecraft Five Nights at Freddy's Squid Game animations and play with slime. I can't elaborate further than that. MovieStar MovieStarPlanet APS also changed the name from RoboBlastPlanet to BlockStarPlanet in 2017 since the game was no longer about robot crafting and battling. I played it for a bit and honestly I thought it was fun. The graphics are cute, the parkour is fun, it's like a light version of Minecraft with a focus on building rather than survival and a rainbow coat of paint slapped on top. In 2019, MovieStarPlanet staff announced that they were working on a sequel game, MovieStarPlanet 2. From the announcement article on the corporate website, quote, "As the name indicates, we're taking what made MovieStarPlanet the success it is today and adding new ideas and features. We have amazing, creative, and dedicated users which we hope will see MovieStarPlanet 2 as a positive addition to an expanding MovieStarPlanet universe." The game's beta launched in late 2019 through to early 2020 in several different regions, and as of the publishing of this video, it's still in a beta state. MSP 2 is honestly a pretty big improvement in terms of graphics, interface, and gameplay. It uses a very similar art style, and in fact both games get the same new clothing and hair releases, but the sequel's art style is a bit softer and a lot more consistent. The original game has its charms, but by this point the art is pretty outdated. A lot of the clothes have different artists, so they're all rendered different, the big heads and cartoony features are a bit garish, it just sort of needed an update. MSP2 actually plays a lot like another game that I was obsessed with in the 2010s called Woo's World. Any fellow Woozins out there remember Woo's World? Drop a comment if you do. Honestly, that game genuinely needs its own video. I need to tell you guys about the times that I got like really rich in the game by hosting these like maze quiz games in my house. It was a wild time. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. It's super similar to Woo's World in that it has this sort of top-down tile-based map that you can walk around and chat with other players in, and the dress-up and housing features are also pretty similar. It only has one game at this stage, just a simple quiz game with admittedly much better graphics than the original, but just as little substance, and again it has the iconic movie making feature. While visually the movies are an improvement, they're still pretty clunky looking, and the movie maker isn't a whole lot more intuitive. It's still pretty awkward looking with tons of limitations. MSP2 is in kind of a weird place. As soon as you enter the game you're told that it's still in beta, so there are still tons of features they have planned to add, but it's nearly 3 years on from the first beta launch and not much has changed. There's only one game, there are only 4 total locations in the entire game, one of which is VIP only, and honestly aside from dressing up and walking around in the either totally empty or totally silent plaza, there's nothing to do. I wasn't able to find any super reliable sources for how many registered or active players there are, but when I logged into the game, all of the player-made movies on the top page had overwhelmingly low view counts. None of them even broke 100 views. At this point, it really just seems like a glorified pay-to-play app. MSP2 has the same intense paywalling as the original game, and to top it off, they're super stingy with how many coins you can earn. You can only earn 15 coins per perfect round of the quiz game, so if you want to make any meaningful amount of money, all you can do is just play the quiz for like several hours. To be honest, I think that MSP2 is really trying to tap into that mobile market with the simple game design and art style and the emphasis on in-app purchases, but like I said, from what I've played, it's definitely not that popular. Searching it up on social media, I've only been able to find people who were either just now finding out that it exists and going, OMG guys, there's a MovieStarPlanet 2, or people who have been drawn to the game by various internet figures. Quackity did a big raid on the game, Memulus made a video shitposting in the game, and Weston and Kaylin have terrorized the poor innocent players of MovieStarPlanet on countless occasions. You guys get a pass though, I forgive you. MSP2 has been in beta for going on 3 years with no updates. I mean, the last big update in the news page was you can now hold cake while posing, and the only time it gets attention beyond the small player base that it already has is when YouTubers are making fun of it. It's a strange existence for a strange game, and considering how many years it's been up in this unfinished and semi-broken state, it's hard to tell exactly what'll happen with it. It's entirely possible that it's like super profitable on the App Store, so maybe it'll keep running in this weird limbo state, or maybe it's on the verge of shutting down, who knows. MovieStarPlanet APS claimed that the game was a way to expand the MovieStarPlanet universe, or the MCU as I like to call it. I guess they have this idea that they're going to be expanding their brand and branching out to all these different markets with sequels and spin-offs, but considering how well that's gone for them so far, I'm not too sure. To be honest, I don't really see MSP2 taking off like the original did, and I don't really see the original ever garnering that same sort of fan base and attention that it once had. And that's okay, sometimes flames burn bright and then they die out, and we just have to appreciate the flames for their fleeting beauty. Or in this case, we just have to accept this 2013 neon animal print, scene hair, snapback, clumpy mascara, creepypasta hacker, popular kids simulator for its beauty. As always, I'm really interested to hear what you guys think. I'm genuinely really interested to hear from like veteran players or people who used to play as kids, because I covered a lot of the nostalgia and stuff like that, but there's so much more. Everyone has their own like really weird, niche, crazy memories on the site, so like I'm genuinely really interested to hear your guys' stories. And I'm also curious to hear from people who play today. I feel like I'm very out of touch with the current MSP generation, so yeah, I'm curious to hear your experiences, why you play, etc. I'm just really interested to hear everyone's stories, honestly. These virtual worlds always have the most cursed and chaotic like memories, so very interested here. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I really hope that you enjoyed the video topic. Surprisingly, MSP was very highly requested. I didn't really expect that. I've been wanting to cover it for quite a while, but I've always been kind of putting it off because it's a big undertaking, and like I said, the research was quite hard because sources are hard to find, weirdly, so it was the research was a little bit hard to do, but I'm very glad that it's all done. I'm really happy with how it came out, and I hope that you liked it as well. Again, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you ever have any suggestions for things that you want me to cover in the future, definitely let me know, and yeah, I really hope to see you guys in the next one. I hope you have a good one. See you then. Bye. A huge thank you to my Garfield overlords over on Patreon: Electro Kitten, Katrina Likes 5e Stuff, Fitzy, Jorge K. Cruz, Michelle Olsen, Matt LRJ, SHSL Simpson, Doug, Jordan Nielsen, Dana Homegardner, Charlie B, Simon, John Leach, Ren Pendragon, Pom, Din Meadow, Xavier Raho, Helm Hamburger Hand, Dozo Blint, Sheriff Whiskey, The Furby Librarian, Red Meth, Astrian Vortex, Jesse Chisholm, Brianna Robinson, Greg Gunderson, Kimono My Gyro, Joe Bradshaw, and Arcantilus. Thank you guys so much for supporting me, it means the world. If you want to join these guys over on Patreon, the link will be in the description, and yeah, I really hope that you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!